A-Corp Media has created a place to talk about politics in a way that promotes civil discourse with truth and respect. This is In the Arena. I'm Phillip Britt, your host, and today we have the opportunity to sit down with Collier, Democratic candidate for state representative in the 150th District. Welcome, Kay, to In the Arena.
Thank you, Phillip.
Great to have you here.
Thank you.
So first of all, tell us about Kay. Who's Kay?
Kay moved to Kennett. I moved to Kennett with my parents when I was 2 months old, so I am a real Kennetian.
That's right.
I started my family in North Carolina, raised my 2 sons there, moved back to St. Louis, and then moved back to Kennett in 2008 to take care of my mom who was suffering from Alzheimer's. I got a job at NHC where we put Mom, and she had incredible care, and I was in medical records for 13 years, retired, came back 10 months later because I missed that family, and I missed the paycheck. And I got a job in the activities department, and I flourished there. I am able to help people have a little bit more fun every day. And I get more out of that than I can even begin to tell people. When they thank me for doing it, I go, no, thank them. Because it's incredible once you get to know people, what you can do to help them.
Sure. I tell people that, and this is kind of an odd thing, but I grew up in a nursing home.
Yep.
My mother was the administrator of the nursing home in Campbell for most of my childhood. She took over there when I was 3 years old. And so I literally spent a lot of days there. Spent a lot of time volunteering, playing bingo every Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock. I mean, I was there a lot. And you know, a lot of times I saw later on as I got older, a lot of times there were opportunities for daycare kids to spend time with nursing home residents. And I said, we did that, you know, in the early 70s when I was young, because they enjoyed me being around as much as I enjoyed being around them. And so I appreciate what you're doing and how you're making their lives better, though. It does make a difference for them.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Well, 2 things about that. Our current administrator grew up in a nursing home because her grandmother was the director of nursing. And she started washing wheelchairs. And then she became a CNA, she became an LPN, she became an RN, she is now the administrator. And it really, you do get it in your blood.
Well, absolutely.
You really, really do. And we have had children from the Holcomb School District come in. And rather than saying they're going to help you with a craft, we tell our residents, help them put this together.
Right.
And then we have some little craft that they can do, and the kids are always just thrilled. And it's amazing what you can do. It takes time, it takes planning, but oh, is it worth it?
Absolutely, absolutely. So let's talk a little bit about, you know, the name of this show is In the Arena. And when we started this show a couple of years ago, we chose that name intentionally because we talk to people who are in the political arena, the public arena. It comes from the famous Teddy Roosevelt speech that he gave to the Sorbonne after he was out of office, where he talks about it's not the critic who counts, but the man who's in the arena, the person who's in the arena, we like to say now, obviously. But tell us about your experience in the arena and, you know, and what got you to the point where you thought this was a place you wanted to be.
I first became interested in politics, how it works, with the original women's movement. I was in North Carolina at the time, and I couldn't believe that we were having to fight this. It took me a long time to get that this was really serious, because I thought, no, it's not, but it was. And we were so thrilled when that passed. You know, that was 50 years ago. And it really made a difference in women to feel like they had autonomy. They could decide, they could use their brain to decide about their body. To me, that is just so simple. Then when I moved back to Kennett, just in the throes of raising 2 children, I didn't do that much. But when I moved back to Kennett, I became interested in our city government. And I started going to every city council meeting. And I did that for almost a year. And then I ran. And I was there. I was in City Council Ward 2 for 5 years and really learned a lot. And I do tell people that you don't know how city government runs if you're just a citizen. You really have to go to the meeting. Sitting out in the audience really helps, because then at the end, they say, does anybody from the public want to say anything? You can stand up and say, I didn't understand what you were talking about, or you're here for a specific reason and you can say it. But I find that most people don't want anything to go wrong, but they don't want to keep up with it. Right. And that's just us as human beings. But I became interested in that with the city council. I came on some boards. I'm on the Kennett Educational Foundation Board, District number 39. And I'm on the CMO Kennett Advisory Board. And I am with Trail of Tales, which is a cat. It's we trap, neuter, and release, because the cat populations are overrun. Mm-hmm. If you let me elaborate, we have a city pound in Kennett. Mm-hmm. The Department of Agriculture doesn't let cats come in there. Right. So they have their own little colonies, but they're not being fixed. Mm-hmm. And so we will trap them, we'll help people trap them, we'll take them to a vet, get them neutered, and release them back to where they are supposed to be. If we find out that they are socialized and they really want to be socialized, we'll find a rescue for them so that they can find a new home. And it just depends on the cat, because they all have personalities just like dogs. And so it's one woman started this, and it's been her passion. And now it's a corporation, she has a board, and we're doing some good work. Good. Yeah, I knew about that, and you're right. And sometimes cats are a challenge, because they won't necessarily come up to you like dogs will. That's where you get the term herding cats. Exactly right. Exactly right. No doubt about it. So what made you decide that this was an opportunity and a time for you to run for the legislature? Democracy. Mm-hmm. I believe in democracy. And our freedoms are in danger right now. I also believe in more than a one-party candidate. And for the past 20 years, this is not saying that it is the Republicans' fault. It is not. We have had basically one party in most races in our state. And people go, well, it doesn't do any good. Yes, it does. Yes, it does do good. And so I am running because I believe in democracy, and I believe in the two-party system. In fact, I believe in multiple-party system and multiple people running for the same party, because that's what keeps democracy alive. That's why I'm in. Okay, good. As you mentioned that's a good segue into an area that I want to ask you about. The current makeup of the Missouri House of Representatives is 111 Republicans and 51 Democrats and one vacancy. And that happened pretty quickly. The numbers are actually closer than they were, say, 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. But when I was in the legislature, I like to say back at the turn of the century. When dinosaurs were right, exactly. Democrats had the majority, but we had 86 members. And 83 is 50% plus one. So we didn't have a huge majority. We were required to work with everybody, and we had to have everybody on board on a lot of issues. So here's my question to you. How do you feel like you can be an effective legislator for us, representing us, in such a significant minority? It's a challenge. It is a challenge. How do you meet that challenge? By listening. my plan in my campaign is to go out and visit people and to visit people in the whole district. I want them to hear what my values are, but more importantly, I want to know what their values are and what is really bothering them, and what we can do on a state level. As far as when I'm elected, if I am in that minority, all you can do is the best that you can do, because sometimes it takes a few cycles to get more people in. But I not only want to see Democrats and be able to show them, run. What have you got to lose? Look what you can give to our state government. But say the same thing to women. Women need to know that they can stand tall and help their state, help their district.
You know, we're really fortunate. For the first time ever, as far as I know, we do have a woman representing us. And after this election, no matter which one of you wins, we're going to have a woman representing us. I find that to be an amazing thing to say about the Boot Heel. Now, what I ask you, you know, you mentioned that the numbers right now are even, the minority of women is even a smaller minority than the minority of Democrats in the House right now. There are only 44 women currently serving as representatives in the Missouri House. How do you, and I know you say encourage women to stand up, but how do you do that? How do you get that word out? How do you encourage women? I mean, you said yourself just a few minutes ago that when you were raising your family, you weren't as engaged and involved. And
that's so true.
So how do we engage women in this process?
Talking. I talk to women younger than me that are in those throes right now, and they'll go, you know, Kay, to tell you the truth, I just don't have time for that. I go, I get that. I was there, but you've got to take time now. Now's the time to take time. And I want to use my website, my Facebook, things like this, to tell people we're fighting for democracy right now. That is what I believe 100%. We are fighting for democracy, and we're in real danger. So as far as, I think women, it comes across as fear, but it's really a lack of knowledge. If you don't know, I would have never run for city council had I not told myself to go sit in the audience for a year. And I did. And then I felt much more comfortable because I had a better knowledge of it. So I want to make what I have on social media, by meeting with people, to say, let's start being more interested in our district first. Let's be interested in that. Then we can make it for the state. Because it can be overwhelming. I get overwhelmed easily. and if we start small, then you feel a little bit more empowered to go big. And so it's going to take time, it's going to take patience, but you have to have people informed.
Well, and one of the things that I look at as sort of proving grounds for state office, for the legislature, for the Senate, our local city councils, local school boards. And honestly, we don't have a lot of women on our local city councils and school boards.
I was one, and now we have another.
Even in the larger towns, a lot of the smaller towns for sure. And that's really where, in what I've seen around the state, a lot of places, that's where candidates first get into the arena, is either as a school board election or a city council election, and then eventually say, you know what, I've done a lot of good here, I think I can do something at the next level. And I think that may be where we're dropping the ball in encouraging women to be engaged. Because it's not a job where you have to drive 4.5 hours to get to work. Right. It's a job where you can go to the city hall and be a part of the process. It's
true. In a younger woman's defense, I will say, but some people think, well, all you have to do is go to meetings.
No, there's a lot more to it, obviously.
A lot of, you're at least on 3 committees. Right. I like the way that Kennett has broken theirs down now. If you're on the finance committee, that's all you're on. Okay. And then on the other committees, they're only putting you on 3. We were in like 4 and 5 committees.
That's tough.
And it is, to be effective. And we spent so much time in committee meetings, texting each other, going through, okay, here's what's going to happen. Let's get this on the agenda for the committee meeting. It's a lot of work. And if you're trying to raise children, you have to have a good partner.
Yes.
That can help you with that. And if you're a single mom, it's pretty difficult. It really is.
And that's what people say about the legislature in Jefferson City too. You know, you're only there Monday through Thursday, and you're only there January through May. But there's a lot to it. There's a lot of work. And I mean, I remember a lot of nights I would get home basically to my apartment in time to go to sleep, and then be back at the office at 7 the next morning. And it was, you know, they say, well, where'd you stay? Did you have a house? No, I had a little apartment that basically was a bedroom and a shower, and that's because that's all I needed. But there is a lot to it, and there's a lot to, you know, if you're going to be engaged, you have to be engaged. You can't do it half-heartedly, and I appreciate your willingness to do that. So you see, you've been out already talking to people, and you want to continue to get out and talk to more. What do you see as the issues that are most pressing for the people in the Boot Heel? You know, first of all, let's talk a little bit about the district. You know, in 2020 we had the decennial census. Every 10 years we have a census, and we redraw the lines. District lines were redrawn. The district now includes all of Dunklin, correct? And then
West to Naylor.
West all the way to Naylor and Butler County. And then how much of Penobscot?
East to Caruthersville, which is kind of cut down the middle.
Okay, and then all of South Penobscot County? Okay. So that's a different district than what I represented. Mine had a little bit of New Madrid and a little tiny bit of Butler, but it was Stoddard and Dunklin, but not all of either one of them, portions of each one. So tell me what are the issues that you see as most prevalent and that need to be addressed as quickly as possible for this area, for the Boot Heel?
Fully funded public schools and fully funded higher teacher pay. SB 727 didn't do that.
Right.
It did not do it. My opponent did vote for that, and it won by 1 vote. It is mandated that rural schools pay their teachers $40,000 a year.
Right.
How? How? Missouri is 50 out of 50 states in the lowest pay. We're surrounded by 7 states. If you're on you can drive to Rector, you can drive anywhere across a state line in the Boot Heel and get a job for $20,000 more a year starting salary. It's mandated that the rural schools do it, but it's not funded. How? They would already be paying them that if they could. Our schools are struggling. We need a hand up, not a handout. I'm so frustrated that people think, oh, they're going to raise our salaries to $40,000. No, they're not. It's been shown 30% of the schools that can afford to do that, and they're probably closer to city schools, will be able to do this.
And how many of those are not doing it now? Most
Right.
of them are. You know,
But
in the city, most of them are, or in the suburbs at least.
Exactly. And what this provides, this voucher program, that's a bad name, because what it is it's taking money from our rural schools, our tax money from our rural schools, and it's giving it basically to suburban parents that want to send their child to a private school. Those that are wealthy enough, they can already do that, and I applaud that. I'm not putting that down. What I'm saying is don't take our money from our rural schools and send it so that they can go to a private school. Our children need all our help. They need all the help they can get from us. And our schools are the heart of all our communities.
Sure.
I mean, think about the proms, think about the parades, they're the heart of a community, and we're trying to lose those.
Well, and you can look around at some of the communities who have lost their schools.
Yeah.
And they do struggle with an identity, for sure.
They are our identity. We're black and gold in Kennett. We're purple and white in Holcomb. We're black and red in Zenith Hornersville. That's what it is. And what great high school memories do we all have? Facebook is filled with them. We have our own class of '68. We have, if you grew up in Kennett, all these Facebook websites that you can go to, they talk about these great memories. That's what our children deserve. And our teachers deserve the correct amount of pay to teach our children and our grandchildren.
Well, and you know, schools, it's obvious that schools are struggling because many of the schools in our area have gone to 4 days a week because they can't afford for transportation. They can't afford to pay
the teachers.
Staff. Well, the teachers are going to get paid,
right.
But the staff
isn't.
Is not going to be there on Mondays, and they're, you know, they don't have to pay for diesel or gas for their buses and all those things that the cost adds up.
It isn't that I can't appreciate that fact, but it's not the way to go, and we're being forced into it. And it's also been shown, small children, when they learn Monday through Friday, they come back on Monday, it's been a 2-day break.
And they lose some.
They lose some, but in 3 days, they're losing a lot. So they're doing a lot of repeating because that's how we learn. It's through rote, over and over and over. And so that's hurting them. It's hurting them.
It's a real challenge for elementary schools. My daughter-in-law teaches kindergarten in a 4-day school, and it is a challenge because they do lose a lot over the weekend. You know, and it's a challenge for sure. But it's one of those schools. It's a small school, and it's a small population school with a fairly large district, so they have to travel to pick kids up, and it's a challenge. It's a real challenge for them. And you know, and I think the school districts are doing the best they can, and they really want the kids to learn, but they also know that the bottom line, unfortunately, is the bottom line, and
that's
they only have so much money.
Right. To keep up with the bottom line. But we have to go the step beyond that. Our state is not helping us. Right. They are not helping us, and we've got to do something about that.
So if you're fortunate enough to win in November, when session starts in January of 2025. What are your priorities going in?
Fully funded schools and fully funded higher teacher pay. I am immersing myself in that because I see rural Missouri, but especially the Boot Heel and especially District 150 as suffering. We are suffering. And if we don't do something about this, our state's going to decline more. We have got, I'm interested in that. I'm interested in rural hospitals being back. I'm interested in good jobs and good trade schools. I'm interested in infrastructure, good internet. We need so much, and we're getting bogged down. They're getting bogged down with infighting.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're not getting things passed.
It's a challenge, no doubt about it.
And it will be a challenge for me, but I'm up for it.
Well, I hear you, and I believe you're right. Okay, I'm going to give you the last word. I'm going to have you look right into that camera and speak directly to the people of the 150th District.
I am going to have my website, Facebook, and email listed at the bottom of the screen, and I would like for you to feel free to contact me and ask me any question that you would like pertaining to our district. But I also want to leave you with this. I'm running for democracy. And our freedoms are in danger right now. If there is only one candidate from one party on a ballot, we don't win. We fail. There's infighting, and it's not a democracy. We need multiple candidates in multiple parties running for all our races. That is how democracy thrives. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay Collier, candidate for the 150th District for the Missouri State House of Representatives. Look for her out there all over the 150th District.